As the end of the year approaches, it's a good time to think back and reflect on all of the things that happened earlier this year. It's also a really good time to look at kind of those financial to-dos and figure out how you're going to check those off of your list. I'm Brandy Branstetter. I'm the Principal and Wealth Advisor at Beyond Wealth, where we help our clients go beyond wealth by helping them utilize their money as a tool to help them live the life they love. In today's video, I'm going to give you 10 things that should make your end of year financial planning checklist. And while these things are going to cover a multitude of different financial planning topics, there's certainly more things that can be added to this list, but I believe these top 10 items are pretty relevant to almost everyone. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do a paycheck stub review. And by doing a paycheck stub review, you can look and see, first off, did you contribute to any dependent care FSAs or maybe a healthcare FSA account this year? And if so, it would be wise to try to figure out how you can spend down as much money, if not all of the money in those accounts, so then that way you don't lose out on those funds at the end of the year. The next thing you want to look at when reviewing your paycheck is, what was your total amount of income you made this year? Is it significantly higher than maybe what you've made in past years? You know, if your income's higher, or if you had a major windfall, like possibly receiving an inheritance, having some restricted stock units vest, having some stock options, or even getting a big bonus sometime this year, that can really affect your tax withholding. And so it's important to set up a meeting with your tax preparer to make sure that you're accounting for that extra income this year, so there's no surprises when you go to file your taxes in April. Now, if your income was much lower this year and you expect it to be higher in the future years, it might be a really great idea to consider a possible Roth conversion. And then the last thing you need to take a look at when you're checking your paycheck stub is, are you contributing to your employer-sponsored retirement account? You can contribute up to $19,500 every year to your 401k or other types of retirement accounts through your employer. So do you have some room to maybe bump up those contributions before the end of the year? Keep in mind, if you're 50 or older, you can add an additional $6,500 to those contributions, which is a great opportunity for those of you who are approaching retirement and looking to really maximize your tax-deferred savings. The next couple of things that we'll talk about are going to revolve around your savings and your investments. So if you contribute to an IRA, Roth IRA, or even a child's 529 college savings account, it's really important to consider getting those contributions in before the end of the year. Of course, the retirement accounts, you can wait and put your contribution for this year in before tax filing deadline, but the sooner you can get that money invested, the more opportunity you have to compound your interest. The next thing you should do is just review your investment performance. I know a lot of people probably didn't take a look at their investment statements earlier this year, just given the market volatility we experienced due to COVID in March. But it's important to take a look. Now, have you recovered your losses you suffered earlier in the year? If so, great. If not, why not? It's time to start talking with your financial advisor about your investment portfolio. Are you on track? And are your investment allocations still appropriate for you? Or do you need to reallocate your investment allocation? The next couple of things that I have are in regards to tax planning. So make sure if you have taxable investments, you're taking advantage of tax loss harvesting opportunities. So you can carry forward up to $3,000 every year in losses in your brokerage account to offset your ordinary income. So if that makes sense for you, given that we did have some losses earlier this year, you want to make sure you're taking advantage of it. Are you near the threshold that is going to bump you into that next income tax bracket? If so, it's probably important to consider strategies on how maybe you can defer some of your additional income into next year, or you can accelerate some of those deductions in this year. So then that way you can make sure that you're staying in that lower tax bracket if it makes sense. Also, another thing to think about is, are you charitably inclined? If so, with the tax law changes that went into effect the last couple years, it might be a good strategy to think about bunching together your charitable donations every couple of years instead of donating to your charities every single year. That way you can maximize your itemized deductions. Another really important to do that should get checked off your list every year around this time is making sure you're reviewing your estate plan. When's the last time you read through your will or your trust documents? It's probably important to take a look at that and just make sure that everything's still set up the way that you want it to be. It's also a good time at the end of the year to check to make sure that your beneficiaries are assigned to all of your different accounts. And this includes not only maybe your retirement investment accounts, but also think about your workplace benefits. A lot of the times I see where beneficiaries were set up when you first started the job and then you never changed them. Things happen. So double check those beneficiary designations. And then the last thing that I would tell you is a really good thing to do at year end is to reflect on your financial goals. Did you accomplish the things that you set out to accomplish financially this year? If so, that's great. But start considering what's next. What are those goals and things that you want to accomplish for next year? And if you didn't achieve the financial goals you set for yourself this year, it's time to reflect back on, well, what happened and why couldn't you achieve those goals? Are there adjustments that need to be made so then that way 2021 can really be the year that you start achieving all of those goals? So the end of the year is always a great time to take some time to discuss these options with your financial planner. We're here to help you out, so please don't hesitate to reach out with any of your questions, or if you want to get some more information on some of the ideas that I shared today, we're always happy to help.